Thank you, Your Honor. People call Nicole Alvarez.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Good morning. My name's Nicole Alvarez. That's spelled Nicolealvarez.
Ms. Brazil.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Alvarez, you of course recognize the defendant seated here in the courtroom, correct?
Yes.
Indicating Dr. Murray.
In 2009, were you involved in a relationship with Conrad Murray?
Yes.
In March of 2009, did you give birth to a son?
Yes.
And that son's father is Conrad Murray. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Did you give birth here in Los Angeles?
Yes, I did.
At Cedars-Sinai Hospital?
Yes.
At the time that you gave birth, were you and the defendant living together?
Yes.
And that would be at 15406 6th Street in Santa Monica?
Yes, that's correct.
And how long had you been living at that address as of June of 2009?
I would say 3 to 4 years.
And when you moved into that location, did you move in with the defendant or did you move in on your own?
I moved in alone.
Ms. Alvarez, how old are you?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer it.
29.
And in June of 2009, ma'am, was your home phone number 310-310-8070?
Yes.
And was your cell phone number at that same time frame 310-497-1115?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you questions now about your relationship with Conrad Murray. When did you first meet him?
I first met him, I believe it was in 2005.
And where did you meet?
I met him out.
Where did you meet him?
I met him out in a social setting.
Was that a club?
I believe so.
And was the club located in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Were you socializing at the club as well?
Yes.
Is it a place that you'd socialized on a regular basis?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Was Conrad Murray a guest at this club?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. You may answer.
He was there, yes.
Well, you met him there. Was he working there or was he a guest?
I believe he was a guest.
Are you certain about that?
Yes.
And after you met him at the club, did you begin contact with him?
Yes.
Did you have an exchange of telephone numbers?
I believe so.
When you met Conrad Murray at the club in Las Vegas, where were you living?
In Los Angeles.
Where was Conrad Murray living when you met him?
I believe in Las Vegas.
You're just not sure where he was living? I mean, you said you believe. Do you know where he was living?
I've never been to his private residence, so no.
So when you exchanged numbers with him, you weren't really sure where he was living. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
At what point in time did your relationship develop into a personal relationship with Conrad Murray?
A few months.
So a few months after your first meeting in 2005, your relationship became a personal relationship?
We were friends for a while, yes.
And at some point, did your relationship progress to something beyond friendship?
Yes.
And did the two of you spend time together on a regular basis?
Yes.
Did you see him in Los Angeles or Las Vegas? Or both?
Both.
Ms. Alvarez, at some point during your relationship with Conrad Murray, Did he tell you that he was Michael Jackson's doctor?
At some point, yes, I did.
When was
learn
that?
Perhaps in 2008.
Did Conrad Murray also tell you that he treated Michael Jackson's children?
He didn't get into the details. I knew that he was his personal physician, but I didn't hear of him ever treating his children.
So he only told you that he was treating Michael Jackson. He didn't tell you that he also had treated Michael's children. Is that accurate?
Yes.
When Conrad Murray told you that he was Michael Jackson's physician, were you interested in that information?
Absolutely.
And why is that?
It's Michael Jackson.
Must have been pretty exciting.
Definitely.
Did you ask Conrad Murray what type of care he was giving to Michael Jackson?
I don't recall asking him any questions. No.
But you were interested, you just don't remember if you asked him any questions or not?
I was extremely interested, but I just respected his profession, and I know that wasn't his common practice to discuss his duties. So I didn't ask him. I figured that if he wanted to share information, he would do it on his time.
Did you, in fact, meet Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
And who introduced you?
Dr. Mary?
When was that?
I want to say it was sometime in 2008.
Was it before you had your son?
Yes.
And how did it come about that you got to meet Michael Jackson?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Why is that? What is confusing about it?
Because it's Michael Jackson.
Well, your boyfriend, Conrad Murray, was treating Michael Jackson, correct?
Yes.
And you were aware that he was treating Michael Jackson, correct?
Yes.
So how did it come to be that you actually got to meet Mr. Jackson in person? Did Conrad Murray arrange that for you?
Yes, he did. It actually was a surprise. I remember him saying he wanted me to meet someone. So I didn't know where I was going. And that was what happened. And I was speechless when I met him. I couldn't believe I was meeting Michael Jackson.
Did Conrad Murray take you to Mr. Jackson's home?
Yes.
And is that where you met Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
And how much time did you spend with Mr. Jackson when you met him?
It was a brief visit. It was a brief visit.
Must have been pretty exciting.
Yes.
Had you met other of Conrad Murray's patients or just Michael Jackson?
I've met a few of his patients, yes.
Would that be patients in Las Vegas?
I don't recall ever meeting any patients in Las Vegas, no.
Where did you meet his patients?
In Houston.
And that would be before Michael Jackson's death or after?
That would be after, I believe.
So at the time that you met Michael Jackson, was he the only patient of Conrad Murray's that you had met?
I believe so, yes.
Did you accompany Conrad Murray to Mr. Jackson's residence on occasions after you met him?
I did a few times, yes.
Approximately how many times?
2 or 3 times, I believe.
And what would be your estimation of the month and year of the times that you went with Conrad Murray to Mr. Jackson's residence?
I can remember because Michael was very interested in the baby. He saw my stomach grow with the pregnancy, and he wanted to schedule visits so that he could see my son. So it would be March, probably April, May, June.
Well, your son was born on March 2nd, correct?
Yes.
So it's your testimony that the times that you went to Mr. Jackson's residence was after your son was born, correct?
Yes.
And you took your child over to Mr. Jackson's house to see Mr. Jackson, correct?
Yes.
Would this be in the daytime or the evening times?
I believe maybe 1 or 2 times were in the day, and I remember going one evening.
And when you went to the residence, did you travel with Conrad Murray? Did you travel on your own?
I traveled with Dr. Murray.
Ms. Alvarez, during the time that you have been involved in a relationship with Conrad Murray, to your knowledge, where was he practicing medicine? What locations?
I was aware that he was practicing in Las Vegas and Houston.
Any other locations?
To my understanding, I knew that he had practiced in California, so I wasn't sure of a specific location, but I knew he had a history in California, a medical history somewhere.
Did he have a practice in California?
I'm not sure.
He might have.
Maybe.
Did he ever mention to you, hey, I'm going to the office and I'm going to go see patients here in California?
Never.
But he did speak to you about treating patients at his location of his medical office in Las Vegas, Nevada, correct?
Yes.
And he also described for you his practice in Houston, Texas, correct?
Yes.
So he never mentioned a practice in California.
No.
Double negative.
Is it correct that he did not reveal to you or mention to you any specifics about having a medical practice in California? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, you told us that you're aware that Conrad Murray was treating Michael Jackson. Did that treatment, as you're aware, occur here in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Were you aware of whether or not Conrad Murray was treating any other patients in California?
No.
No, you're not aware, or no, you do not believe he was treating any other patients here in California?
No, I'm not aware.
Ms. Alvarez, are you living with Conrad Murray at this point in time?
Yes.
And back when your relationship with Conrad Murray became more serious, certainly before the birth of your son, was Conrad Murray living at your residence?
Yes.
Was he also providing financial support to you?
Yes.
Did he pay your rent?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. You may answer it.
Yes.
And what was your rent in the time period of April through June of 2009?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Maybe around $2,500.
Did Conrad Murray also help you with other financial aspects, utilities, food, and so forth?
At times. I was working, so that was his choice. If he wanted to pitch in, if he felt the need to do that, that was his choice.
And you were working where?
I am an actress with the Screen Actors Guild since 1998.
And where were you working in June and May of 2009?
I was acting.
Describe for me, please, what you were doing.
Well, as a professional actress, my daily duties consist of maintaining my instrument, going on several castings throughout town, meeting with different casting directors, and continuing to study and refine my craft. So I was working. Acting is a little bit different than a 9 to 5. It's a little bit different. I don't have an office that I go to.
Certainly. Let me stop you.
Driving to a casting is my job.
Let me stop you and ask you another question.
Yes.
When you refer to an instrument, what are you referring to?
Myself.
I see.
Myself. As an actor, your instrument is yourself.
So would it be accurate to say that primarily in the time period of April through June, you were focusing on keeping yourself prepared to audition for some event that would be available to you? Is that accurate?
I was working, I was auditioning, and I had, I believe at that time, I had several national commercials running on air. So I was very busy juggling my profession and being a young mother. I was very busy.
Did you speak with Mr. Jackson about your interest